I may not be able to wear this the whole time. My hands are already getting sweaty. I'm gonna sweat inside your box. Which sounds really pervy also.
Oh my god. That does sound really pervy. Hi guys. Here with Mike again. We're going to do... So the first half of this is going to be spoiler-free.
Yeah, non-spoiler. So,
and then the second half is going to be spoilerful.
So don't watch it until you've seen the movie, because it's worth it to see the movie. And I hate everything. I really do.
You do.
Yeah. What was the last movie I hated that everyone liked? All of them?
The last movie or all of them?
The most recent movie that I hated, and I was just saying all of them.
You haven't seen Black Panther yet. What was the last? Homecoming. I think Homecoming was the last one that came out.
I remember the twist in Homecoming, and I was just like, oh look, a Spider-Man twist. Spoiler alert on Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, oh look, he's connected to the bad guy. So that was dumb, and I know like it was a big deal to you, and you said it was happened in the theater. Everybody was like, and I was just like, it kind of passed me by. I was like, well, that's a thing. So anyway, we're not talking about Spider-Man.
So that's just proving that he genuinely hates movies.
I really do. Don't learn how movies are made, and like don't watch a lot of director commentary. It makes you hate movies. It really does.
So I'm gonna give...
I'm not doing that. I'm already done with that.
I'm gonna have to say, out of a 10, I'm probably gonna give it like I'm gonna give it an 8.
So this is just like the immediate reaction. I'm not going to give it a number. I'm going to give it this is the first time I've seen a nerd film, like superhero or otherwise, where I really, like, I was into it, like, emotionally. And that's important to me. Like, I need character-driven stuff. And the story's important, but I'll forgive a lot in the story, a lot of problems for character. So for that, and I was just telling him, this is the first time in probably a decade I've really gotten into the bad guy since Heath Ledger's Joker, and I hate to play that fiddle again, but yeah.
No, I give it an 8 if it wasn't for the graphics issues.
There were some graphic, and like even one I picked up on because I wasn't really looking for them. I was trying to enjoy the movie, but yeah, there were some.
If it wasn't for the graphics issues, that's the only issue that I had with it. Was the graphics.
But there were so many CG sets, and so many of them look so good that it's like, give them the graphic issues. They'll probably bug me more upon a second watching, but
because I pointed them out to you.
Well, and one of them I picked up on my own near the end there, but
so yeah, I give it an 8. If it wasn't for the graphics issues, I'd probably give it like a 9.5, because I don't want to give a perfect 10 because I don't think any movie deserves a perfect 10.
Jurassic Park doesn't deserve a 10, and it's one of the best films.
That's, in your opinion, yes.
In my opinion, that's for me. It's got nostalgia working for it, and I won't say 10. So no spoilers first half, spoilers second half. I'll give you a warning.
And so, yeah, outside of the graphics issues, I loved it. Character development was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
You literally...
Where the hell did that come from?
What, the character development?
Character development in a Marvel movie. Period.
Well...
That isn't out of nowhere like Yondu in Guardians 2. It's like, Yondu was a fucking dickhead. Why is he... Why should I care about... What's his name? Michael Rourke's character? Mm-hmm. So.
What, Yondu?
Yondu, yeah. That's just...
I loved Yondu. I didn't like him in the first one, but you were supposed to not like him in the first one. No, the character development was really good. And the storytelling... Like how they plotted it out,
really well.
You kind of got a lot of foreshadowing going on at the beginning of the movie, letting you know. Well, not letting you know, but kind of hinting,
setting up things and paying them off later, which movies should do, and Marvel doesn't do too often.
I kind of had a personal connection with the music, not like something that I've heard before, but it's something that as the movie played on, it kind of kept coming back to me. Like, every time they hit a certain point in the story, that particular music kept getting more impactful.
Are you talking about, like, the sad Avengers music?
Yes.
Yeah, because, like, I didn't like Jurassic World. Mm-hmm. I didn't. But I still get chills from the theme that would play during the trailer, like the sad Jurassic Park theme. So I get that. Mm-hmm. I identify with that.
So I really, really, really like that. So this is you've actually you don't have a personal connection with the characters like I do, because I've read the comics. I've kept up with these really, really well. I have a personal connection with the characters, but you, on the other hand, you don't care.
I was
prior to the movie, you didn't care.
I was sick of Tony Stark by movie 2, by Iron Man 2, and then by Avengers 2, I was like, I'm so fucking sick of this character. Like his intro into which Avengers 2 is not the best example, but like that was the point where I was like, oh, okay, God, I'm tired of this. Yeah, the only one I really was into was Banner in Avengers, which I mean everyone was, but I kind of stuck with him, and I'm sad that he hasn't been in more. He really only got that, co-star in Thor 3.
Oh, as Banner rather than the Hulk?
Yeah, well, no, there's lots of Hulk, too.
There is a lot of Hulk.
Yeah, but I mean, just like Banner in general, like I wanted to see more development of his character, and really he's just been sort of the... I don't even know how to just... Yeah, he just hasn't been there enough. No, and I don't know why. I don't know why Marvel's kind of made that decision, but... So he was probably the closest one to anybody that I'm really invested in.
With that being said, with the character development they did for this movie, how did you feel about the characters with this particular movie? Separate from those,
just the good guys.
All of the characters. Obviously, I know you liked Thanos, but you can go into that here if you want. I
was impressed with the way they made me actually care about some characters that happened, like Gamora, a character I wasn't invested in. What's her sister, the blue cyborg?
Nebula.
I've just the whole time she's been riding, in my opinion, like on the back of the train of Guardians, and I just haven't been able to understand why she's there. And for the first time, I'm like, okay, I get it. There's actually something, because she hasn't really. That character doesn't emote, like facially or like anything she does. She's just.
And that's the point of her character.
Which
she's
is fine,
so much machine, she's lost her humanity. I
guess it's so far out of the realm of what Marvel typically does that I'm like, where do these two meet in the middle? So, I thought they did a good job. I'm trying to think of who had the most. I really identified with actually both Thor, and Thor's performance was a little weird in this one. Like, there was a lot of humorous stuff he was trying to do at the beginning. I didn't understand that. But as far as, like, some of his emotional weight, him and Thanos, I actually really identified with both of them. Because I don't have family, and I've had those moments where I haven't had people around me at points in my life. And there is a soul-sucking emptiness to that people with family, I don't think they can understand. I really don't. And so for me personally, I was pulled into that with both of them, Thanos and him. And they gave Thanos a lot of emotional... He was a person above a character, above just some third-rate Marvel villain, and that was impressive to me.
Well, I feel like Thor is they showed him in this transition, because you see so much comedy in all the other movies, and then you're getting very serious with this movie, and I think that's what you're talking about. Is you felt it was kind of a little bit. His character seemed a little bit off, is because he's so jovial all the time, and all of a sudden, oh my God, I can die. You know what I mean? Like, I'm unstoppable going into... He realizes his own mortality.
I think it was more just his intro with the Guardians.
Oh, yeah.
It was just weird writing, the whole moron thing. I was like, now I don't like anybody. So, but no, I really did. Thor's pulled me in probably more than any of the actual good characters.
And so those were the two you identified with the most, that kind of pulled you more into the story.
Yeah, and that's more of a personal experience thing, but that, just is an emphasis of the fact that they actually wrote these feelings into these characters, rather than Thor thinks his brother's dead and and immediately after he puts his hammer on a rack and he's like, he's adopted, because even the story knows he's not dead. Like,
I personally am really I'm excited for the next phase
of Marvel.
Phase 4. Which is...
what if they don't do an Avengers 4 right after this? What if it's just a phase of movies after this, and then Avengers 4?
Well,
I don't know what they're planning. I have no idea.
Ant-Man and the Wasp is next. That comes out here in the next few months, actually.
When was the last Avengers movie? 2015?
No. Well, it depends on what you mean, because do you count Civil War?
I don't count Civil War. No,
okay,
that's a standalone.
So that would be
Even
David's bachelor party.
Yes, so that would have been 2015 because that's
Sounds
when I met
about
Joy.
right,
Yes,
yeah.
so and then so they're doing them every 3. If I have to wait 3 years, oh man, I mean, ugh. Okay.
I'm personally excited about it because I want to see where they're going with the story. But obviously, there were 2 main characters that people were upset about that were not in the trailer. It's Ant-Man.
Oh shit, he wasn't in that movie. He was probably my favorite out of everybody up until this point because I like ants so damn much, and Paul Rudd's pretty. So yeah.
I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do with their stories, and then now they're introducing Captain Marvel, which they're going back to the 80s.
Right. You told me that there's
that,
which that's cool. 80s movies are good.
So I'm intrigued to. I want to see what they're going to do with that because that's going to be fun to see.
They're kind of getting caught in that whole 80s thing because like Thor 3 had a heavy like radical 80s overtone, and then of course everything Guardians.
Everything. No, that's like 60s, 70s, 80s. Yes.
Whatever. It's the ballpark of free love, and you know what I mean.
It's
radical.
There's nostalgia in it.
Yeah.
You know, people feel at home and familiar with it.
Just don't ride that pony too far.
Well, we'll see what's going to happen because it's a cash cow right now.
They rode the Jurassic Park pony too far, and that sucked on the second film. So
now they're coming out with this one
with 5. So that's how that pony breaks under its own weight.
It was a really good movie. I loved it. I can't wait for the next one. Great character development.
They stopped subverting the emotional weight. They did it one time and it bugged me.
Yeah, at the beginning.
They really kind of they did it a few times in much smaller moments throughout the film, but man, they made the emotional weight stick. Mm-hmm. To the extent that through the entire credits, you're just like...
Well, you were sitting right next to me.
Yeah.
Like, I was jaw-dropped throughout the entire movie because I was just like, oh my god, this is what's happening right now. And without trying to be spoiler-full,
you gotta know something big is happening at the end of this one because it was originally intended as a part 1.
Yeah, and they haven't revealed the title for the second one.
Yeah, which it may not be part 2, but you know going into it that it's got to be a cliffhanger of sorts.
They're planning on the title of the next movie to reveal. It's supposed to like reveal what's happening in this movie and what the next phase is going to be all about. So that's why they haven't released the title for Avengers 4 is because...
What do you call a post-war period?
I don't know.
I'd call it like Infinity Fallout or something like
Fallout?
that.
Yeah.
That'd be freaking sweet. Not now, because I ruined it, but something of that.
I mean, that's post-war.
Yeah.
That's
Fallout
of war or nuclear bomb or whatever.
I don't want to say it did kind of lull. It did, and you kind of have to expect that because they're bringing it. Like there are whole casts of movies just thrown into this thing and just like play with each other. So like it's just there's a lot of. This is what they're doing, and this is how this affects the plot. And it's not so straightforward as that, but there's so many just groups of people that
doing so much
starting
all at once.
or that could be an intro of a movie of itself, and that's probably the first hour of the movie, honestly, if not more.
I liked how fast paced it was.
It did. It did
because they were so like we got to get this done, we got to get this done, we got to get this done. All
it
this
only
is happening
lulled because there were so many of those.
Yeah,
that you're starting like, okay, I get it, I know why you got to do it, but
I liked how they just kept hitting you the whole time. Because they weren't just like, okay, this is happening, now let's have a whole bunch of dialogue that explains what just happened and what we're going to do next. No, it just happens and you move on with your life.
There was a little exposition heavy there for a while.
You're talking about
and I don't remember a specific point, but I remember it.
I feel like that was mostly just Thanos' dialogue.
He did have a lot, and I think that was probably the worst thing about him is they made him a little bit exposition heavy, but it was because it was Josh Brolin's voice, who sounded a lot like Ron Perlman in this movie.
He did! He did! I didn't notice that till you pointed it out, but he did.
Oh, there! Look! Reverse Hellboy. I'd pay to see that movie. They just talk to each other for 3 hours over tea. I'd watch that.
Just watch them talk.
Yeah, just like shooting the shit. I'd watch the hell out of that.
Oh man. So no, I liked how they just kept going with it and trying to really. It reminded me how they were really trying, like, because they gave you a lot of content in a movie.
A long amount of time, but short amount of time for how much you were getting hit with it.
And it reminded me of the new Star Wars movie, The Last Jedi. Have you seen it?
I keep wanting to say The Last Night. Yeah, The Last Jedi.
You've seen it?
Yeah, I was there with you.
Were you?
Yeah,
I thought you were rebelling at that point, but you know how they just throw so much content in there?
I don't feel like Last Jedi did that.
It felt like it had like 3 endings in Last Jedi.
Okay, yeah.
And in this movie,
movies now.
Honestly, at the
don't get in the fist. No, was getting in the fist. You want to fist
Infinity Kitty?
The last thing in the universe that needs the ability to destroy the universe is Nova.
Oh god. So anyways, yeah, I think we're ready to transit. Do you have anything else to say?
I think that's it. I think it's got good pacing. I think it's really well done. It's hugely ambitious because of how many, and then I'm not trying to fluff this movie, but it really is to throw that many cast and that many big name actors.
And they had a lot of good screen time too.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like the only person I feel like they gave more screen time was Thanos, but that's for obvious reasons.
And that's because spoiler, more of a tonal spoiler. He's the main character. Mm-hmm. He is the main character, and he doesn't get as much screen time as you would expect out of a main character, but he really is, and that's impressive. Because no Marvel villain has been the main character yet.
No,
not even close. Not even like. I mean, we should have identified with Tony's conflict in killing Obadiah Stane. We should have, and we didn't, because Obadiah was a surrogate father to him, and there was just no fallout to that. There's that word. There was no like, there was no "you were my father" moment at any point, and so not even close to having a villain be any sort of main character, but any sort of arc. And this one was just like, his is the arc. That's the movie. Everybody else is just getting behind it.
So, yeah. So we're going to start transitioning to our spoiler full portion. So you're going to have a Nova Pass.
A Nova Pass?
A Nova
Is
Pass.
That when Nova passes across the screen?
We're going to pass the Nova, and you have been warned.
Because Nova is the harbinger of spoilers.
So,
spoiler time.
Spoiler time. A lot of people die.
They went full fucking Game of Thrones on this.
Yes.
Just like, and you're dead, and you're dead, and everybody gets a death.
From the beginning.
Yeah, and that was the best
From the
part.
opening scene. Like, Loki is the first guy to die.
No, he's the second. Heimdall is the first.
Oh, that's right. Heimdall. I forget.
I really hope Rock Guy is still alive.
Rock Guy
from Thor. Squeak is dead. Oh no, Loki's alive. I can't do the voice. I can't.
I know.
It's the director. The director played him. The guy who directed. Anyway,
I know you're talking about.
But yes, Heimdall, Loki. I'm doing it. Gamora. Oh God, who else? Well,
there's obviously Vision. Spider-Man.
Well, okay, we gotta preface that with.
We'll get into that in a second. Let's stop everybody that dies. So we got Heimdall,
Scarlet Witch, Winter Soldier, the Black Wing Guy, Falcon, and then
Black Panther. Black Widow died?
They didn't kill Don Cheadle. God damn it! That's my biggest complaint about this movie is Don Cheadle's character is still fucking alive. Friggin' War Machine.
War Machine. Thank you.
Oh my God, Don Cheadle has been a blight on this franchise. Why did you hire Don Cheadle after Terrence Howard? Like, I get not bringing him back, but then don't bring in Don fucking Cheadle. He sucks. He was only good in Rain Over Me.
We said the Vision, right?
Vision.
Doctor Strange.
All of the Guardians except the Raccoon.
Except for Raccoon and...
the blue cyborg, if we count her.
Not Gamora. She's already dead. Nova. Not Nova. Nebula. Story. in the comic books, Nebula is the one that defeats Thanos.
That's a spoiler to me, you asshole. I didn't know that.
You can go read the fucking comic.
But I don't. That's fine.
I have it in my room.
I kind of feel...
In the comics, because you can't physically beat Thanos at this point, because he has
all the power.
All of the power. So she actually tricks him into defeating him. So it's actually she, like, he's playing checkers, she's playing chess type deal. So that's
they're both playing chess, and then she's also playing Chinese checkers. Which, from what I understand about Chinese checkers, no thank you.
So, but that might be key. I'm not sure. That
would explain why she's been dragging along all these movies, just like. She's been such a trip. Well, she really has. Like, in movies where I'm complaining about there being too much happy, when there's a character that I'm calling a drip, you're doing something wrong in the opposite goddamn direction. Like, how do you do that?
So who else dies? Like, well, half of humanity. Dude!
Fury.
Nick Fury! Nick Fury, he's the last person, legit.
He's the last one we see die.
He's the last person I thought would die.
I figured one of them would go, but both of them, that was...
Yeah, well, and they kept doing that, because what I thought would happen was one person would sit there and mourn while this person dies.
And they'd pass on.
And then they'd live. But
I feel like they killed more heroes than not.
Oh, they killed a lot of them.
Yeah, like actual, like, branded hero. Wait, did Scarlet live?
I don't remember.
Clint was not in this movie, by the way, so you're welcome.
Clint. Hawkeye. Yes.
They said his name once, and I was like, who the fuck is Clint? I literally sat there for like 20 minutes, and it hit me, and I went, Hawkeye's not in this turd.
Well,
I mean, that turd is not in this great
I think
movie.
he's on the raft. You remember have you seen Civil War?
Yeah, I've seen all but Black Panther.
So Civil War, remember the big ship island thing that goes underwater?
Yeah.
They call that the raft.
Yeah, I know.
And I think he was on that.
They said he was somewhere. I don't remember. I don't care. Who cares? Why are we talking about him?
Because he's not in the movie and people are upset about that. Ant-Man's not in it. Let me think. Wasp is not in it. Obviously, her character isn't technically been introduced, but we know she's coming up. But at the very end credit scene, so they didn't do the mid credit scene at all.
Which was a good call.
We were all still grieving from everybody dying at the very end.
The credits are going so long, I was like, watch this be the first one that doesn't have a credit scene. Just to twist the damn knife. Because okay, we were talking, we mentioned Fallout and the nuclear bomb earlier, and that was a really appropriate metaphor I don't think you intended to make, because there's a doomsday device that goes off that kills half of everyone in the universe. That's why all these characters are dying. And my favorite part about it is that they have this god machine. I was talking about this before we shot. They have this god machine that can do anything, but they still made it finite. And he only does it the one time. And after he does it, the gauntlet's fucked up. His arm's fucked up.
I seriously think he's slowly dying.
Which is great. Yeah. That's so great. I like that. Things are happening in a lot of cases that can't be reversed. And I still think most of this is going to get reversed.
I think a lot of it will. I think what's going to happen is, we're going to figure out... Because you have a time theory.
I do. We'll get to my theory, but I want to hear what you have to say.
But I think what's going to happen is
Keep talking. I'm going to get water.
Nebula is going to find a way of wielding... Because there were 2 Infinity Gauntlets. Wait, did the dwarf live?
We don't know. We didn't see what happened to him. Oh yeah, by the way, best dwarf casting. Peter fucking Dinklage plays like a 12-foot dwarf. From a short guy? That feels good.
That was so funny.
And it was really good, too. Like, it wasn't even just funny, because he was a tragic character. So you have that moment of, Peter Dinklage is giant. And then you're like, this is sad as fuck. What the hell?
What was I saying? So...
There was a second gauntlet, but I think that was the mold. I think that was the inversion of the mold.
He had what looked like the mold for it, but there were 2 gauntlets There have been 2 gauntlets that have been revealed.
In the movies or in, like...
In the movies.
In
the movies.
What was the other one?
It was in the vault, on Asgard. Remember when Hela did, fake... Thanos already had the gauntlet at that point.
Well, if that one was fake, then what does it matter?
Is it fake?
Yes.
Because if he had a second one, if he made a second one for them...
I think the stones are cached, too. Cached is a term for when you smoke weed and you've smoked it all that's in the bowl.
Oh, you think the stones are done?
Well, I mean, they were still glowing, weren't they? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know.
They were the only... Because it was, almost all black. And then the stones were still kind of glowing. They just looked dirty.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they're drained a lot. Or damaged.
But would they be Infinity Stones at that point?
They're not infinite. Well, they're already not infinite. Mm. They can be destroyed. The movie already covered that. They just didn't get to that point. They theoretically thought it could be destroyed.
I loved it.
No, they did destroy it. That's right. Yeah. They destroyed Vision.
They destroyed the Mind Stone.
Killed Vision twice off twice in
5 minutes.
Not even. No, it was 30 seconds. It was Vision's dead. Oh, your first time. Vision's alive. I still don't care because what has Vision done? And then they killed him again in a way more terrifying. There are some. I don't want to say images in this, but moments that are legitimately just even as an adult. So, yeah, kids are going to get. We should have put this in the non-spoiler that some kids are going to cry. Nova!
Your animal's stupid.
Nova, not Nebula.
No, yeah, I was actually surprised that they pushed the boundaries the way they did.
We saw blood, and not just gooey, multicolored alien blood. There was human blood coming out of people's mouths and
death.
Oh, Tony did not die.
He did not.
Which I really was thinking that was
They sold that too.
They didn't kill any of the 4.
You got
they didn't kill any of the 5 if we're not counting Clint because Natasha survived.
You got Captain.
Yeah.
You've got
Hulk was still in his suit. Thor.
You've got Rocket. You've got
we're counting all of them, all the people that survived.
Yeah.
Is that what we're doing?
That's what I'm trying to figure out off the top of my head.
So we've got the main 4 and Natasha. Rocket.
Well, what do you mean by main 4?
The big 4. The Avengers. Cap, Thor, Hulk, and Iron Man.
Oh, yeah.
And then Natasha. Mm-hmm. And then Rocket. Is that it? They killed everyone besides those 6.
They did.
So we've got Ant-Man and Wasp on top of them, so that's 8.
Well, it depends on where they land in the time frame.
Oh, that's what I wanted to get to. God, I would love to see just a movie or two, not Infinity War, of just them dealing. Ant-Man and Wasp set in this post weapon,
this Fallout
weapon. That would be, God, I want to see that. Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. That'd be good.
So we have the main 4.
Yeah.
And then Black Widow and Rocket. And then if Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and the Wasp survive, we have yet to know.
9 max?
We went from almost 20 characters down to less than 10.
Oh, and maybe Nebula,
but I mean, she's technically a villain. She's
10 tops. We're thinking,
and then Deadpool.
Is he gonna?
I don't know.
I would love to. He just shows up and just gives Thanos a wedgie. No, don't do that because we got a good thing going with Thanos.
So yes, Thanos. Oh my God. So,
it's his story.
It is his story, and anybody that has seen Black Panther, he is the Killmonger of Infinity War. Killmonger being a character that does bad things with a good intention behind it. In Thanos's specific, because I don't want to tell you about Killmonger.
Thank you. I haven't seen Black Panther.
But in Thanos' perspective, he is being merciful upon the universe because the universe is overpopulated. They are killing themselves slowly by starving, and
I think in so many ways he is doing. I mean, even in our universe, even if you look at it, and his His reasoning is that the universe has a finite amount of resources, which I don't buy that. I think Earth, just our world, we've got enough to go around. I really think we do. If we'd stop being stingy dicks about it, we could pull that off. And that I don't think that would happen, not for a long time, but so his reasoning, maybe I don't buy it as much, but ultimately I think that there's a lot of right there, because I think a lot of us in the first world, we don't really get like how shitty life can actually be. Like, it can suck. And I've been on the other side of that suckage. Like, I'm good. I can look across the line, and I don't want to be a part of that. Like, that blows. And I think having an equalizer that says this is how bad it can be out of nowhere, I mean, it's going to make the people that are alive live. And I'm not saying it's justifiable, but I really identify with him in that way, in that really, really fucked up way.
Well, and like how he explained it was with Gamora's planet.
Yeah, they were starving.
That you had people starving and people dying on the streets.
And he came and did his thing.
And I was the salvation. He literally called himself the salvation of their.
There were so many biblical metaphors without beating you over the head with it. Like some of the Superman movies. He did walk on water. He did do that at one point in a vision, and then there was the Doomsday device actually vaporizes people, and it would have been way too on the nose if their clothes hadn't disappeared, and it doesn't make a lot of sense that their clothes did. But there's that biblical reference of these people will ascend, and everybody else is left behind.
I can't even think of it right now.
Revelation.
It's in Revelations, but it's the event. But that's besides the point.
Why can't I think of it? Keep talking.
But he gives you this perspective of, I was the salvation to these people. Rapture. I saved them. The rapture, yes. And if it wasn't for me, their planet would be in turmoil. People would still be starving. Now they are prosperous because of me. Children
always have full bellies and clear skies, is what he said.
Yeah, and it's just like he has this perspective of he's a godlike figure that is the only person that has the willpower to do what is necessary to save the rest of the universe.
One who's lived on the other side of that shitty life and knows how bad it can be, despite how long he's been on his throne.
His planet is gone. Yeah, because of that reason.
They implied that he was the last one of his kind.
And so I love the fact that they actually make you love his character, because you see his perspective. A lot of people probably can't relate. Because, well, a lot of people
live in the first world. If you're watching that movie, you're living in the first world, where it's China a year from now.
A lot of people can't relate probably as much, but a lot of people can empathize and see his perspective and see that he's actually trying to do good. And I love the fact that they do that they make his character do bad things for a good reason.
And he's so sympathetic. You sympathize with him, and he sympathizes.
He actually, Thanos actually cries.
When was the last time? Okay, this was the one I proposed to him. When was the last time you saw any movie ever that had a doomsday villain that wanted to destroy the universe or kill a bunch of people or take over or whatever, had this big, like, global and or galactic scale plan that you identified with? And I can't think of one offhand. And I certainly am sure I can't think of one that you would identify or sympathize with as much as him. I mean, that is some groundbreaking shit.
Oh, it is.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
And he seems human.
They made him so human for being a completely CG character, in the way he moves and the way he emotes.
Well, I'm talking about
himself.
His character.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, everything, the whole package comes together, and the character is amplified by the great CG and detail they put into him.
And like they really, because up until now, the only perspective of the relationship between him and Gamora was Gamora's perspective.
Was hating him.
And that's complete hatred, because he tortured her and made her do things and made her into something that she does not want to be. And then now you get his perspective of him loving, actually, because you thought, from Gamora's perspective, that he called himself a father, but wasn't actually a father. It was more of like an abusive father figure. But he saw himself as a merciful father figure that he genuinely loved Gamora as a daughter.
It was like adoptive rape. Like I'm not even joking. Like he forced her to be adopted by him. There was no. Yeah.
Oh, and that scene when she was a kid.
Yeah.
And she goes to look behind her as, half the population is being slaughtered right behind her, and he's protecting her.
Passionately turns her head and points her back at the weapon that
focus.
Balance. This movie has a message, and it actually says something. And I said that about The Last Jedi as well. And it was a lot more muted in Last Jedi. But it's good that people, I think it's great that nerd movies are actually starting to say something again. Even if there isn't necessarily an end game to what you're saying. If there isn't necessarily a resolution. But, I mean, if you look at Dark Knight, there's a lot of... And I'm always going to go back to that one because I think that was the last really good one that put a lot of effort into a message. And this one did that. That's going to sell me on any nerd movie. I'll forgive editing issues. I'll forgive pacing issues. I'll forgive bad CG or locations or whatever. If you actually have something you want to say with the art that you're writing, and that's what movies need to be. They need to be art.
And this is as far as character-driven movies. I mean, obviously, Star Wars is always character-driven. They usually have, they're usually trying to tell stories of the characters.
Star Wars is so cutting from its own cookie cutter, though, at this point. Rey's the Luke and Poe's the Han, and it's like at that point you can't even... You've seen 2 trilogies before that where they cut people out of those cookie shapes, and this one, it's got something new.
But that's the point I was trying to make. This is the first superhero movie where we are getting fresh perspectives on these characters, because if you go back to the previous movies, they are the characters from
the comics and the cartoons with some flair.
You literally just basically copied and pasted it and made it into a live action movie.
Thor's been better. Thor has always been terrible, and I think they did the best what they could with Thor in the first movie. Yeah,
character
Thor. Because having the guy that's like, I summon thunder, like that, pompous, floaty bullshit.
Not good on screen. Yeah.
Storm.
You talking about his new axe?
No, I'm talking about Storm. Halle Berry's Storm.
Oh, that God. They need.
You can't translate Storm that directly.
But as far as character development for a comic book movie, they did a very, very good job, and they
so many characters to have to do that with too.
And you saw how big the cast was. They probably had about
the longest credits in a long ass time. Oh my God!
But I feel like they really nailed the characters down as far as what connects with the audience the most with each character. I know you didn't have a particular connection with a lot of them, but I feel as though you also were able to identify with them enough to actually feel the sense of loss that a lot of the audience probably felt.
There's this thing Christopher Lee, the guy who played Saruman, was talking about his role in the new Hobbit movies, and he was very into it. And I mean, say what you will about those movies, they're not well executed. But there was one thing he was really into is there's this moment where Saruman says, leave Sauron to me, and Christopher Lee's talking about it, and he's so emotionally into that line, and it's so trite, but he put so much into it that even when you watch it, you have to look at it and go, yeah, and to actually have actors that aren't just given a script and they shit out the dialogue. That's my point, is even in that shitty Hobbit movie, you have somebody giving effort and you're going to see it, and to have a movie with this big of a cast where a lot of people gave a lot of effort, that it really shows.
So that's what made this movie, in my opinion, worth it. Yeah, we talked about the CGI issues.
But even then, so many of the sets were incredible, even though they were green screen.
So,
the Soul Stone planet.
The soul.
Where he took that point, like as soon as I saw the opening shot,
that was amazing. Yeah. Or Titan.
Titan was really good. Both Titans, pre and post apocalypse.
That was amazing. And you know something I saw. Okay. There was something that puzzled me. So you know, during the fight between Thanos, they're on Titan, Thanos and Spider. Well, basically everybody was involved still. Nobody had died yet.
Yeah. Which this is all on Quill, by the way. I just want to say that, throw that out there. This is all his.
That's all his fault. Yeah.
He fucked up. God
Big
damn
time.
it, Andy! If you fucked up the Parks and Rec, and you fucked up Avengers.
Seriously, like just 10 more seconds, because they had the gauntlet off. Yes, they had the gauntlet off of his hand, and
which he super glued that bitch on there or something.
I know. And like he finds out Gamora was killed by Thanos, and
has an episode that starts punching him,
and he starts wailing on Thanos, which pulls him out of the trance that Mantis had him in,
barely holding him in.
And Thanos comes out of it literally as it was coming off. You saw that.
Spider-Man had it off his hand.
Like his fingertips were coming out of it, and boom! And it was like,
Which, you know, I mean, obviously it's got to have that moment.
Yes, but
you know it's not going to go down like that.
They had that glimmer of hope. Which is...
You did, yeah. You know what? You wanted it to happen.
Yes.
You were emotionally invested that even though you knew it couldn't happen, you wanted it to. And there were moments like that where my gut was turning, and I haven't had my gut turn in a film.
Ever? In a long time?
In a long time. I'm probably going to throw it back to Dark Knight, but I'm sure there's a more recent event.
But during that fight between all of them, Doctor Strange gets thrown at Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And when that happens, I saw something fall off of Strange. I initially thought it was his medallion.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh god, he lost it. It's gone. And they're going to beat him for now, and he's going to come back and find it. And, well, then, you know, Strange is like, here you go. But perhaps it did come off, and he did something with it, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. That's just a thought. Because I saw, it literally looked like, because it was a black spot coming around, like, as he's falling and falling in front of Spider-Man.
I don't.
So it looked intentional, but maybe they didn't. Maybe it was just debris, for all I know.
Maybe.
And it was just really.
Or it was a glitch. Like,
it was a glitch.
Editing.
Another editing issue.
So these will keep bothering me. Is that, like, yeah, there's so much to deal with when writing this movie. I can't imagine all the loopholes that I could find and jump through. But I think here's the biggest one. I could have ended that fight right then. During it, as soon as they get him in the trance, you need one thing to happen. One thing, and it already had happened previously in the movie. They're fighting in New York. They're fighting the two guys, and they push the one guy into the snow through the Doctor Strange portal, and he goes to reach through as the portal's closing. It takes his arm off. Do that with Thanos. You got him in the trance. Put a portal around him. Send his ass somewhere. Leave his arm there. Take the gauntlet off. Problem fucking solved. And I know that finding all those plot holes when you're on the other side of the writing table, when you're on the other side of the script not existing, is really fucking hard. But, like, that's what those...
It's like the Eagles of Lord of the Rings.
That doesn't count, because if you, as a writer, can't pick up why that's fucked up, you don't deserve to be writing. Like, and I know Tolkien's got his whole thing, but either you don't use the plot device, or you use it all the way, goddammit. I don't care about the Eagles Civil War. That doesn't, unless you're going to make a movie about it and it's good as Civil War, don't fucking make that part of your story.
But I loved how they killed off the Dark Order. The Dark Order are his sons and daughters.
Oh yeah, dickheads.
Yeah, and I forget, how did...
They got better CG on them than Steppenwolf did. The girl one, I was looking at her, I was like, you kind of look like Steppenwolf, but, like,
Better.
10 years later, like in CGI advancement.
You're talking about Proxima?
And she didn't even get named in the movie. Her death was a vehicle was thrown through her. That was her death.
I seriously thought she would have survived that. I really did.
No.
Because Proxima Midnight's actually a very powerful character. Did you know that actually those characters were
Whatever you're going to say, no, I didn't know that.
They were developed in exact response to the
Steppenwolf?
the major characters of the Avengers. So like
so they're all like dark reflections of them.
yeah, like Ebony Maw, he is the counter to Strange.
Okay. So, and I'm gonna guess that Steppenwolf's daughter is the reflection of Black Widow.
I'm trying to remember.
I will forever refer to her as that, by the way.
Steppenwolf's
daughter. Got a monocycle thrown at her.
Proxima Midnight, actually, I think is because I told you about her spear.
I think we're about to get into territory where even nerds are going to be bored with what you're about to say.
I don't care. Shut up.
Okay.
I think she's actually a direct response to Captain America. And then Black Dwarf, which is the big dude. The big
With the axe hammer thing?
With the axe hammer thing.
Yes, they did it. Oh, fuck yes. They brought in the Thor's hammer I wanted. I'm sorry. My point's better. Whatever you were going to say, they brought in the hammer I like, where it's a hammer on one side and an axe on the other.
Oh, the Stormbreaker?
Yes, thank you. Because I remember, like, I've seen that one before, and I'm not super invested in Thor, and I never have been. But I remember it was the first time I saw that, I went, that fucking thing right there. And the fact that he had that damn rectangular prism for a hammer for like 9 years now, I was just like, ugh. He finally got a good hammer, the way he got it.
And I liked what they did with that whole scene with them making the.
I thought it was going to go too far, like it was going to be really boring, and it ended up being really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where what's his name comes in.
Peter Redonkulous.
And I liked what they did with that, because that was it was a test of his will. Because
Peter Dinklage?
No,
Thor.
He is just a median. He is the
Peter Dinklage is so much more than a median.
But in this movie,
yes,
yeah, he's just a character that does a thing that's a plot device. But it is a test of Thor and whether he is worthy to carry the
God Hammer,
the Stormbreaker.
God weapon. I think the best part was I looked at Groot at one point and I went, man, he really hasn't plotted in a while, like done a plot thing.
No.
And like immediately after he makes the handle for the Stormbringer, and I was like, world's best end right there. Just
he really was a throwaway character. Oh, by the way, Groot dies.
Well, yeah.
We didn't mention him.
Well, but we mentioned that he didn't survive. That he wasn't
in the list.
Survive.
Yeah.
Groot died, but he hasn't really been relevant since the first Guardians. So
he was helpful in Guardians 2.
Yeah, but in the most annoying ways. Oh, I kept trying to forget that he was there.
The Ewok of Guardians 2.
Yeah.
And that's what he is in this movie too.
No, he's not. Because
he's just this character that
he is the one the tweens would identify with. Which is fine.
I wouldn't say that the tweens would identify with him, but I would say that adults would identify with the adolescence that we have to deal with tweens. Because tweens don't know that they're doing it.
You deal with children on a regular basis.
Yes.
I do not, because I don't like them. They are like worse versions of regular people, which is why I identify with Thanos, because I look around and I'm like, half all y'all need to die.
So he but he does nothing except for that. And then, he kills some of the bad guys in the big fight, but
he goes after Thanos. Like at the end when they're doing the no sound thing where Thanos is going towards Vision,
and
he does some vines around him, and Thanos
tries to stop him.
Yeah,
but he doesn't really do anything outside of his arm be the the handle for Stormbreaker.
I like the way they did it. I don't care that it doesn't make sense. I don't care that wood that he's made of wouldn't be strong enough. I don't care.
I don't see why he wouldn't. I mean, it seems fine to me. It doesn't bother me at all. But he, outside of that, he does nothing, and that bothers me a little bit. But
you gotta look at what he was in Guardians. He was just he was like the Billy. I'm making that Power Rangers reference.
When he died, I didn't feel.
I mean, because Groot's died before. It's like, okay, big deal. He'll come back. I mean, that's the big one for me. Is that they everybody's floating away. Everybody's fallen to ashy, leafy pieces. Mm-hmm. The first one we see is Bucky. Bucky falls down. You start to see what's happening. Mm-hmm. Oh shit! It's happened. Mm-hmm. He's doing it,
and it's Bucky.
I don't care. Oh god, Bucky's one I've never been invested in. So out the gate,
Bucky is supposed to be the next. Between him and Falcon, they're both dead now. They're supposed to be the next Captain America. Well, now we don't have any extra Captain America, so we have one left.
Now they killed off a lot of people at the end, and I might have bought it. I might have said maybe this has a 5% chance of sticking. All these deaths. Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Then they killed Spider-Man.
I was like, nah, this won't stick. That was the one that I was like, nope.
Because,
you're not going to do that. That's dumb.
Spider-Man...
Not that it's dumb, it's that I don't believe you'll stick to that decision.
The actor is so young, they can get so much more out of him.
And it's Spider-Man.
I don't see them undoing everything, or perhaps reversing everything.
I think Vision will stay dead. Gamora, everybody that killed up to the Doomsday device. Should we get to my theory now?
Go for it, yeah.
So, when you see this, there's a scene at the beginning of the movie where Glorfin Face, anti-Doctor Strange, grabs Strange's... Yeah, that guy. Maw. Grabs Strange's Infinity Stone and burns his hand, and he's like, it's a simple curse, but it's quite unbreakable. And I think there's like a threat to kill Strange, and he's like, I think you should acknowledge how hard it is to break the spell of a dead man. And right then and there, I think that's set up, because ultimately Tony Stark gets stabbed by Thanos, and Strange gives up the Infinity Stone after he's looked at all the possibilities, that there's only one future where they win out of the 40 million or whatever he said. And I think he put a curse on the Time Stone, which that's the best.
What if he is... Okay, keep going.
I think he put a curse on the Time Stone, very similar, and I think it's like a time bomb, which obviously, you don't understand the concept, but there's some sort of, either amount of time is going to pass, or there's a condition that's going to be met that's going to trigger this curse, or whatever magic's been put on the stone by Strange that's going to find a way to reverse this, and Spider-Man's death and everything. I mean, it's the Time Stone. If he put a curse on the Time Stone, he's, there's a chance he can reverse this, and he's dead. So the curse really can't be broken. There's no way to break it. So what were you going to say?
I forgot about that scene. I've seen 150 quadrillion.
It started with a 4, I remember that. But it was like 40 billion or 40 million or something like that.
And there's only one where we come out on top.
Which that's the one. He said, this is the only way, Tony. I think he cursed the stone with something. And maybe that's what's killing Thanos right now.
He did say this is the only way.
Yeah. He found the one where they survive.
And where
they win. This is all Strange's game. This is Quill's fault and Strange's game.
Why did I not pick up on that? Probably because I was freaking out about the fact that Iron Man was about to die, and then
which he didn't.
And then he's sacrificing the Time Stone for Tony Stark.
Which, maybe he even put a limit on what the Time Stone could do in Thanos' hands. Maybe that was part of it. He's like, you can only do so much with it.
But I think I was so flabbergasted by him doing that. I was just like, this is, like, I forgot about that scene. And this is, so he's probably the only person in the universe that knows this is how we come out on top.
Yeah, and he's dead. Curse can't be broken.
So
I'm calling it right there.
I kind of hope they keep Strange around, because I love... Okay, so the scene where like he's doing all that wizardry crap around Thanos, like where he multiplies himself and makes himself like with multiple arms.
Which he could have just made a portal and cut off his fucking arm, because apparently that those things are made of lightsaber. The portal rims are made of lightsaber, because it cut off the one bad guy's arm and it was like singed. It was like, dude, just make a weapon out of that shit, out of the sparky stuff.
But I loved that scene, and I love in the Doctor Strange movie, all of the combat scenes were amazing,
trippy as hell,
and that's what I loved about him, because it's nothing you can perceive on Earth, period. And
well, obviously somebody could, because it got made into a movie.
You know what I mean? Like you can't. Well, not
nothing that could.
You can experience.
Yeah.
And
make you nauseous on film. But
and I really enjoyed how they really started to dive into that, because if you look at what they do in the comics, he actually is able to cross over to the astral plane and interact with like spirits and demons and all that.
He kind of did that in the first movie. There was a whole astral fight.
Yes.
When they were trying to save him.
But he's not interacting with spiritual beings. He's just
like holy spiritual beings. Holy isn't completely not.
Yeah, they're not human.
Yeah.
And
Dormammu.
Dormammu is a celestial being.
You know what? This is what this comes down to. I hate magic and everything. No, you know what? I don't believe that when you write a magic system is in terms of wizards that you can make a story that makes sense. When you look at Dumbledore, you look at Harry Potter in general, you look at what's his name, Gandalf, and you're like, you see them do something once, and it's like, oh, it's a magic thing they had. It's like, why didn't they just do it then and solve all these problems? And that's my issue with magic and everything.
And with Strange, with what they do in Marvel Comics, is they try to make a strong attempt to take all different magics and spiritual religious things and try to pull them as much of them together as possible and make them kind of work together, which sounds really weird, but when you
I mean, a lot of things try to do that.
When you see it on paper on a comic, it looks awesome. And I kind of hope that they go into that a little bit more, because I think that could be fun.
Not in the next movie, they're not.
Not the next movie, no. But I loved that scene where he makes like 50 of himself and surrounds Strange, and that was just an awesome scene.
Surrounds Thanos.
Who did I say? Strange.
Yeah, he surrounds him, which he did.
Strange.
There were lots of Stranges.
There were lots of Stranges all around Strange, which is around Thanos. So yeah, that was probably one of okay, the whole movie was a favorite scene of mine. So that's not a valid thing for me to say.
The fight in Wakanda was basically the battle droid fight in episode 1, Phantom Menace.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I've seen this before. Yeah, there's the bubble and the bad guys are coming and they pull through the thing. There was the giant thing that was like, brrr. That didn't happen, but
No, that definitely didn't
the shield-carrying brontosauruses. That was not in the movie, thank God. There was a Hulk in a Hulkbuster, but he never hulked out.
I'm so mad.
Because there was a scene where he was running with them that wasn't in the movie that we saw in the trailer, with Hulk running with them.
There was?
Yes.
There was, yeah. Or was that?
And it had to have been this movie, because Bucky was in the shot too. I remember it.
It might have been Civil War that you're thinking of.
No, it was them running in the field. Cap was wearing the black suit, and they were running with the Wakandans.
But no, Thanos cannot beat Hulk.
And they had Thanos beat Hulk.
Physically beat Hulk. Not like trick him.
He beat the shit out of him.
But Thanos intentionally avoids Hulk at all costs in the comics, because Hulk becomes so powerful.
Well, isn't comic Hulk a little bit more of the ilk of 2003's Ang Lee Hulk?
Yeah.
Where he just keeps getting more and more, not necessarily bigger, but stronger.
Yeah, because he keeps getting more and more angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's not the version they went with, which is good, because you need to ground some of this shit, which obviously they didn't do with Strange, but
So that immediately upset me because I was like, this is not what's supposed to happen, because that's literally just me in my comic book purist.
They needed to make the plot work, though, and they did a good job of stringing together all these characters that are scattered about the literal universe. Because you've got to get Hulk to Earth. Mm-hmm. You've got to get Thor to Earth. You've got to get the Guardians to where Tony and that are going. And they had to find ways to string those characters where they went. And the only way to get Hulk out of that situation was to beat him.
Well, and I think the whole time when he was trying to summon the Hulk was actually throwing a hissy fit.
Because he got beat. He's never been beat before.
And he finally got beat by Thanos. He's like, no, I don't want to come out.
You know what?
Leave me alone. No. Because you see him in Ragnarok, and he's, like a teenager, or almost even like kid-like.
Yeah.
Childlike, because he's got the mentality of a child. And he now gets beat because he's used to winning on Ragnarok. Or not Ragnarok, but
we'll call it Jeff Goldblum's world.
Goldblum world.
Goldblum, yeah.
And he's used to winning all the time, and now he's beat. He doesn't want to come out.
Can we acknowledge the fact, and we're going to rewind here for a minute, that no one knows how Hulk got beat by the Hulkbuster in Avengers 2?
Did he get beat?
He had to have. So the scene ends with them fighting, Hulkbuster and Hulk.
I'm trying to...
But and there was no end to that fight. And I was like, what happened? Movie?
I don't remember.
There better be a cutscene somewhere. Because that pissed me off so bad. I was like, I'm fine with this thing beating Hulk, but I want to see how. And he had to have, because the Hulkbuster armor was in this one, and it hadn't been repaired. It was still fucked up.
Well, they could probably he could build a new one.
That wasn't a new one, though. That was the same one.
It's Stark.
Yeah, but my point is, continuity-wise, it's the same one, so Hulk didn't destroy it. So Hulk has been beaten before. At least that's the logical conclusion to come to. But yeah, we're going to say the first on-screen time he's been beaten. I like that theory, though, that Hulk is being a little bitch.
Yeah.
I lost fight. Hulk, no. I really was just like, okay, somebody just hit him.
And then he started slapping himself.
Which that's not gonna...
Well, okay, if you're trying to summon Hulk, are you gonna be the one that pisses him off?
I did think of that. But Hulk will come out if Banner tries to kill himself.
That's true.
I would say, maybe the movie doesn't want to go that dark, but the fuck it does it. That movie went real goddamn dark.
It did.
So... they just didn't want to... I was worried. I was worried that they blew their wad in the first 10 minutes of the movie by having a Hulk-Thanos fight. I was like, oh man, this is so great. But wait.
There's more.
Is this going to just kind of suck? But it didn't. No, it really had a lot more to give, and then a lot more.
Dude. I see, like, there was just so much content to it. You're on a serious journey with this movie. Because you're going through all these different planets, which they revisit almost every major planet
that they go to. I remember there was one I was trying to pronounce, and I was just like, "Fuck it, I can't." I was trying to pronounce.
Were you trying to read it?
Yeah, there was one that was like Nakatakavir or something like that, and I'm just sitting there like, "Screw this, I'm not doing that."
And I loved the fact that our first experience with the Reality Stone was Thanos tricking them, thinking
that he was killed by Gamora.
That he was, well, not only killed by Gamora, but he was in the process of getting it. I love the fact, because, well, he's playing chess, they're playing checkers. They're like 10 steps behind him.
Did I miss something? I feel like he went from 3 to 4 stones with no explanation.
So he had the ones
he got the second one at the beginning of the movie,
right? So
then he got the Reality Stone, and then I feel like he had a fourth one out of nowhere when he got the Soul Stone. Maybe
he had the Power Stone. That was the first one,
right? And then he had the Tesseract,
the Space
Stone.
Then he had the Reality Stone. Later, he got the Soul Stone. Later, he got the Time Stone.
The Mind Stone was...
No, the Soul Stone was the fourth one.
The fourth one. It was hard for me to keep track because there was so much, like you said, there was so much going on that...
They threw so much at you.
There was only one moment where I had trouble following what was going on, like action-wise. It pulled a Michael Bay. It was during the fight with Vision and Scarlet Witch in London? Is that where they were? I don't know, where they fought the two Thanos.
It was somewhere overseas.
Yeah, there was one moment where, like, there's a swing and you imply that the character gets hit, but you're already seeing her flying across the screen. I was like, it was a weird cut, but the editing was actually really good.
What was I going to say? I don't remember. I didn't like that scene in general, because you just kind of get thrown into it without much explanation
Of why I don't think you need it. I just still can't be brought to give a shit about either of those characters. No, I don't feel like they gave any emotional weight. When you can make me feel that Thanos loves Gamora before the scene where he has to kill her because he loves her, where you made me feel that before you paid it off, and I didn't even know that was where it was going. You can do that, but you can't make me care about Vision and Scarlet Witch, main good guy characters that are going to die tragic deaths 3 times. 2 characters, 3 deaths, 2 minutes. Okay, you can't make me care about them, and they're the turning point of the movie. Like, Vision is the plot of like half the movie as far as like the good guy, like in Wakanda. It's all about him. It's all about protecting him and keeping him safe.
and they lose.
And I still don't care about Vision. I liked his death.
I like the fact that they made them lose.
Yeah. Well, that's
the whole plot. Yeah,
that's to be expected for a part 1 of anything. I mean,
they lose hardcore. Like, they don't just kind of lose; they lose.
They get their asses twisted around, ripped off, and shoved down their throats.
But they brought back Red Skull.
They did, as a Darth Maul Dementor. Darth Mentor.
And when he goes to get the Soul Stone, the name of the planet escapes me right now, but they go to this planet. Blanc. It starts with a V, but we can go with that. And they see the Red Skull, and he's like, I have been trying to collect the stones for a lifetime, and this is the one that I can't get, or whatever.
I think he said a lifetime ago. I physically held one in my hand.
Oh, that's right.
And my curse is that that it's out of my reach and everything like that. He sort of stopped being in the movie randomly, which was fine because there was emotional shit going on that was a little bit more important.
Well, he was a plot device to move us forward.
Yeah, I don't know if that was actually Hugo Weaving. I think it was, but yeah.
What?
We're doing a live stream.
What's up, Jacob? What's up? Hey, get a box for my sandwich.
Not this one. I don't know if I'm going to be on screen now.
You okay? You're breathing very heavily.
Did you run here?
From the parking lot.
Why?
So I could get here faster?
What are you eating?
McDonald's
Sandwich?
It smells like McDonald's.
From
It
Denny's.
smells like McDonald's.
Oh, it smells like a McChicken.
No, he served his purpose, and that was it at that point. After that, he served no other reason being there.
Yeah.
He could be dead for all we know, and I really wouldn't care because his character was that much of a throwaway character.
He's a Darth Mentor. They can't be killed.
Darth Mentor.
Red Skull?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Darth Maul Dementor.
Yeah, that's what they were
Right?
saying. Yeah, exactly.
Who was saying besides me?
The people watching your video.
They were saying Darth Mentor?
Caitlin literally said Dementor of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
She said Red Skull Dementor.
I initially thought it was going to be Death because of the
whole
cowl.
Death. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they hadn't brought that character, and they hadn't brought that in at all. They don't bring it in at all. And since they didn't bring it in, I thought, okay, they're at least going to somewhat tie it in. but nothing.
Which is fine, because they took the character, they took the material that was there, and made something better with it.
Are you talking about the Red Skull?
No, I'm talking about Thanos in general.
Okay.
Which, I love Thanos. The reason I was so wanting to see this movie is because I watched Silver Surfer as a kid, and I was like, I like Wacky Purple Man. I could watch more of him. And when I found out that I was one of the actual nerds that knew who he was at the end of Avengers, you fucking posers, I was really excited. I don't know if you were an actual poser. They were posers.
He doesn't know things.
Anyway, no, I was excited about that. And I'm saying that without that character being loyal to the source material as far as I'm concerned, but I like that better. Like, I think a way more interesting DC universe would be Zod goes, what if we just build Krypton on Mars and we get a cool interplanetary political conflict that turns into global war between a bunch of super fucks and Earth. There's a much better plot than BVS on like 8 levels. So that's what my point is, that this movie did something different with the source material while still sticking with the, establishment and making it better than it was previously.
Did you guys mention the theory about possibly
The Time Stone curse?
No, the the reason why the reason why Doctor Strange did what he did was
Because that's the only way they can win.
is to give him all the stones.
Well, remember, this is something he pointed out. I completely forgot about it. He saw all of the realities, and there was only one possibility.
And he didn't say the one where we survive, he said the one where we win, which implies that the problem will be solved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which he tells
Stark,
this is the only way. Meaning, this is the one way we can win this.
I don't know if you guys mentioned this in your video because I came in a little late, but I had a theory that just popped in my head. I don't know how close it is, but I think that with Doctor Strange doing what he did, he had to tell Tony, it kind of like after it cut from him saying from responding to the question, how many did we win? He said 1, and well then it cut. He had to have told them this whole plan, that they would do what they were going to do and attack him the way they did, in such a way that Tony would believe that they would win there. And I think he did that because Thanos saw how Tony Stark was fighting and promised him before he was going to kill him that half of Earth would be saved. So I think actually, kind of by proxy, that was one of the things necessary to win later, was to save half of Earth.
well, yeah,
That reality. And so kind of like this chain of events that Doctor Strange saw, he had to make Tony believe he would win and fight in that way against Thanos. What do you think?
Well, no, I think they still went with Tony's plan, because when they were in the middle of fighting, Star-Lord said, well, my plan would have been better, or something like that, if I recall.
No, he said, just for the record, this was my plan.
Oh, that's right. So,
which I don't know if that was real. Like, can you count that as canonical or as a joke?
Yeah.
From Star-Lord.
oh, from Star-Lord?
Yeah.
Probably 90% joke.
Yeah.
The scene with Star-Lord and Gamora, with Thanos and the bubble gun.
What about it?
I loved that scene.
Yeah, I didn't laugh. But then again,
No, I didn't laugh either.
there were people that laughed, but I don't laugh at Marvel jokes. 'Cause they're not.
You didn't laugh at half the jokes that happened.
I didn't. I dare say I didn't laugh at any of them.
I saw you chuckle at least once. I saw you do this
Okay.
number. Like,
There may
you
have
were
been
chuckling. No, that was, for me, that was, imagine
The terror of not having the power ripped from you so effortlessly in such a
Well, imagine you
childlike way.
looking Joy or Caitlin in the face and saying, I'm about to kill you. And then you go
That
to
was
do
that
it,
was the one where my gut wrenched. I was like, bad shit's gonna happen here.
and you go to do it, and it doesn't. And you're like, I now have to live with the fact that I was about to kill you, and you're not dead. Even though she asked him to do it.
Maybe that's why that one hit me so hard, because Yeah.
And now she's dead.
Yeah.
And then, well, he
That
ruins
one's rough.
that whole plan. That was, oh man, that was a rough scene entirely.
One of my favorites, you guys I think talked about already, was Thanos and Gamora's scene. That one really
The
hit
child
home.
scene or the
one
death
where
scene?
where you discover that he loves her for real.
I think the best part about that is that you feel that before that scene even comes around.
Yeah.
Well, they were telling that story leading up to that scene.
Yeah.
And it's that at that point we finally realize how much he sees her as a daughter.
Yeah.
Because he was vocalizing it and showing it, but
To see the emotional depth of
to
it.
see how deep that wound goes is absolutely insane, especially for a character that in the comics was so cold-hearted.
Sympathetic? No? Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
Especially for a Marvel villain. Like,
Right.
I did not see that emotional conflict or weight or anything coming out of this movie. I just wanted to see Thanos kill some people. This is going to be great. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm sad now.
That's what drove it home for me.
I'm gonna go
was
kill
just how
myself
deep
now.
that was. Yeah.
It was good sad. It was really
Yeah.
good.
Oh, and the scene where he like unmakes them.
When they did it with Drax, I was like,
stone.
oh god, Drax is dead.
Yeah, when he makes him
Yeah.
into stone and he falls apart.
I think what
That is actually in the comic where he makes them like
Really?
into silly shapes and stuff like that.
the visual cue that made me realize he wasn't dead was
Mantis when
with the eye, and I think they did that on purpose
Because like that happened with me with Drax. I was like, oh my god, Drax is now dead.
in such an anticlimactic way.
They really have reached Game of Thrones level. What the fuck are they going to do? Because at that point they killed off so many characters, you don't know what's going to stick.
Yeah. They the bold move for Thor Ragnarok, which made a lot of people, including myself, really like the character of Loki and how just kind of how he came into the character he was, and then all the fan theories leading up to this movie about
Him
how
betraying
he was
them to
gonna
give him, yeah.
there's like we
Dead
could
in
see
10
what's gonna
minutes.
happen. He
Not
was gonna sell into Thanos, and even you said that.
Yeah,
and then
I
first
thought,
scene,
yeah.
just like, actually no, I still love my brother. Boom, does the right thing, dead. And it was like a slow, like very cold-hearted, gruesome death that established Thanos as like the most badass freaking villain right away, right off the bat, and showing that right away they were serious about the film and just draws you in emotionally. Boom, such a great
I hated
opening.
how they had the gauntlet around his neck. Because
Why?
like his hand was so big that his hand was over his shoulder, so he would only be strangling him with his fingers, but they didn't really show his other fingers.
They made it look like maybe his other fingers
his-
was in a fist, when really they would have had to have been like that.
Yeah, because his hand was so big around his neck.
Yeah.
Thanos was huge.
He was, but
Yeah.
he wasn't as big as he could have been.
He was
which
as
is
big as the
fun.
Hulk.
Right, but this Hulk isn't as big as some other Hulks.
That's true, but still.
I just remember like he handed Gamora, tiny Gamora, the little dagger, and it like fit on his finger, and then she picks it up. It's like her whole hand.
It's like both hands.
And then even she's an adult, and like he
it's
hands
her
it
whole hand.
same
Yeah.
way.
But yeah, so Loki, I did originally think Loki was just going to straight up betray them and like bow down to Thanos and give in to him.
More Marvel, just stuff that they always do that they didn't do this time.
And he's like, well, he was trying to be a trickster and try to fool Thanos, who is one of the most intelligent beings in the universe. And well, Thanos obviously outsmarted him because he knows better.
I had this moment where I felt like I was caught in the spider's web. I had this vision like 30 minutes into the movie. I was like, oh god, the big picture just all of a sudden makes sense to me from Marvel's standpoint. And I got I told you this already, this image of all these guys in the writer's room. They're like, okay, we're going to make 10 years of movies or so. Ballpark, whatever. I'm sure they didn't know exactly how long it was going to be. They're like, we're going to make you invested enough and you're going to keep coming to see these movies because they're decent enough. And it's just going to be, most of the time, it's just going to be fun. And by the time we get to that 10th movie, that blow of everybody dying is going to be so much heavier because maybe you knew it was coming, maybe you didn't, but you still have had 10 years of nobody ever dying ever forever, and now, fuck it, more than half of them are dead. Like, more than half.
There's more than one time that I felt like a character was speaking to the audience at the same time they were speaking to the characters in the film, like breaking the fourth wall. And I think the first time was in Last Jedi, which I won't talk about right now. But it happened in there, I think in the first scene. And in this one, when after he killed Loki, Thanos says, no resurrections this time. I mean, he knew that Loki.
He was talking about Loki, but he could be referencing about
faking his death.
Yeah,
but everybody has always been talking about exactly what you said, where it's like no one has ever died, or they keep coming back to life. Yeah, well, yeah.
But that was a movie ago.
And they straight up said, he just said right out of his mouth right away, no resurrections. Like Loki's never coming back.
Mm-hmm. Which that's fine. I didn't.
Well, they had their trilogy. That's done and over with.
Yeah.
Thor's still around, but for how much longer?
They gave him the cool hammer, so I'm hoping at least one. They gave him the hammer that I wanted to see him with from the beginning, so...
I like how he kind of had Silver Surfer's potential moment from the comics where he just winds up and misses. Like Silver Surfer winds up.
Got him in the chest rather than the head?
Yeah, and so Thor, like... came just as close as killing Thanos as Silver Surfer did.
Because that's what happened in the comics was everybody was dead, and the plan came down to Silver Surfer taking out Thanos, and it was he flew galaxies to get to him. Because Thanos didn't know he was even near, and he traveled all this distance, and he was like, I missed.
Like, was he, like, just picking up velocity as he went? Was he, like, making himself a missile?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
He wound himself up
he missed.
galaxies wide. He missed him by, like, a fraction.
Did he hit, like, a bunny or something?
No, he didn't hit anything. But the thing is he missed. He miscalculated. And so Thor is Silver Surfer in this point, but I think Thor intentionally meant to hit him in the chest, but it would have been smarter to hit him in the head at that point, or take off his head, or
for a 100-year-old guy, he's not all good at the killing for somebody who's so good at the killing.
I think my last thought was actually a question for you guys. Did you talk at all about how he came back from Gamora killing him? Was that like an illusion? Did he use the Reality Stone?
That entire thing was an illusion.
Oh, okay.
From the realities, because we actually kind of touched on that where I was impressed that that's how they introduced the Reality Stone was by immersing
showing
us
you its power rather than
reality,
rather than just
what it does.
It appearing like in the middle of the scene. It's disappearing in the middle of the scene, and you're realizing, oh my god, this is not real.
This has been the reality the whole time. Okay. Because at first, I didn't really have time to think about it in movie. I was thinking that it's like...
And speaking of...
Was Luke acquired it or something?
Speaking of Stockholm Syndrome... This is the worst case ever. She started crying over killing Thanos, who tortured her whole life.
You know what?
Yeah.
As a kid who had to go through some of that Stockholm bullshit, that whole time I'm watching that going, this fucking sucks. So, yeah,
that was
because I mean, even if you hate the person that raised you, like myself, you still are going to be upset when they die. So, especially if you kill them, which I also plan to do.
Spoiler alert!
Spoiler alert! I'm going to prison.
But yeah, did that answer your question?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it until as soon as you mentioned, he had it the whole time. Yeah, it makes sense. Wow, in retrospect, that scene is amazing. So, well, that's all I got.
Sets were good. Pacing was good. Lots of intros to be expected. A billion cast.
Didn't feel like 2.5 hours.
I think it did, but
no.
I don't know.
It felt longer. I thought we were approaching 3 hours, and I looked at my watch.
It did feel very long, but that's because they were doing so much. And like you were saying before, when they had those impactful moments, they stuck it out.
Yes, they didn't subvert their moments with stupid humor. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, they did with the Drax thing and Gamora eating the nuts, and it's like, you couldn't even make it a good joke. But other than that, they, to the extent that everybody dies, and then everybody else also dies, and then the movie ends, and there's credits where you're just like,
I love the fact that they just ended it like that. It's like they lost. End movie.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys
no
realize,
hope at all whatsoever.
No, they gave hope. Friggin'. Well, in the end credit scene.
In the end credit, in the end credit scene with Captain Marvel, yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree though, and I don't know if you noted that this is the first Marvel movie. I don't know what happened in other theaters, but nobody applauded the end credit scene.
Which I'm really glad.
Like one person almost like started, and then they were like, "Wait, what? Should I applaud? No, I don't. No, I shouldn't." And it was just that one person.
Because you're just so.
It was just silence.
Brokenhearted about everything that just happened.
And instead of uplifting, they had like the chime of the Avengers theme instead, and then the Infinity Wars, introducing Infinity Wars, also faded away like the people did, and like it was just so brilliantly put together. Like what a good story told, such a good way.
But I just like the fact that they ended it with like, there's no hope for the future now. Half of humanity is now dead. We have to now live with that.
Your life dream come to realization.
Well, that's mine.
Oh, sorry.
So and they stuck with it. They didn't like. I mean, yeah, they kind of gave hope with Captain Marvel at the end, but there's no hope. They stuck with their
emotional weight.
The emotional weight of the deaths, and they didn't kill it with a joke. I think they did that like once. It wasn't with a death though. It was something. Yeah. But like with any other movie that they did in the past, like they killed those emotional scenes with a stupid joke.
Well, the one I referenced was Thor 2, where they killed Loki and then immediately had stupid jokes about him in the very next scene from Thor, no less. Like. And that's when I was like, oh, he's not dead. Why did I think he was dead? This movie has no integrity.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm just glad that they finally stuck with that. And I can't wait to see what Captain Marvel brings to it. And I can't wait to see what Ant-Man and Wasp end up doing with it. Because at this point, we have no clue. What are they even doing at this point?
Ant-Man, well, I could deal with it being overlapping timeline. Like they're dealing with other Thanos related shit, like leading up to that.
Yeah.
Like it's the same time frame, just a different, story or after. I'd love to see that, but I already said that. So
I'd like to see. So you're talking about like, they pick up the story kind of towards the end.
Yeah.
And then
while they're fighting in Wakanda, what are Ant-Man and Wasp? Maybe they're fighting another one of Thanos' people, or
there aren't any others.
You can make new characters. Right?
No,
it's legal. You can do it. Hill, isn't she one?
Who?
Hill? No,
Hell?
Coulson. He was a new character. He was made up for Avengers. Agent Coulson.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can make new characters and make people like them.
Well, you mean? Well, no, he was in like 3 movies leading up to it.
He was made up for the movies. They weren't existing comic character.
No, okay, I get you now.
You can make up a character for the movie, and that's acceptable.
So, that would be cool. I want to see what Captain Marvel ends up doing. I'm wondering if they're going to start the movie off like in the 80s where she gets her powers, and then pick up where they leave off in this movie. Like later on, so they kind of introduce the character, show us how she gets her powers, and maybe she's off planet right now, and with Nick Fury summoning her, she is gonna come back and save the day or whatever she's gonna do. I don't know.
She's like a Superman tier character, right? Power wise,
different.
But up there in power, she's very
similar.
Yeah, she shoots lasers or something. Right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and she flies. I don't think she's invincible though.
What about Adam Warlock?
Adam Warlock
theories?
I was hoping they would. No, Adam Warlock is kind of his own thing. He's an Avenger. and he is the reason why the Avengers beat Thanos. So I was hoping that they would bring him in prior to this, like in Guardians or in Homecoming or something. I don't know. Well, they introduced him in Guardians. What was the movie that led up to this? Black Panther. I was kind of hoping they would bring him in there and kind of throw him in there and see what happens, but obviously that didn't happen. So I have no clue. I've not seen an announcement for a movie for him yet. I have not seen anything like that yet. So yeah, it's kind of a big letdown there. Adam Warlock has been introduced, but we don't know what's going to happen with his character, but he was very key. Wait, as far as...
What movie? Guardians?
Guardians. The very, very last, like, end credit scene is where...
I don't remember what happened in Guardians.
The Golden People. Remember the Golden People in Guardians 2? She's talking about this cocoon.
Adam.
We shall call him Adam. That's supposed to be Adam Warlock.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's supposed to be key to defeating Thanos, but Thanos just won, so how is he going to beat Thanos?
I feel like Thanos' story is done. I feel like you wouldn't even necessarily have to bring him in other than just for him to die of whatever's poisoning him right now, theoretically.
Unless they somehow... It's a time bomb. And
a time
bomb where it goes back in time to when before he gets the stone automatically.
Maybe it's a time curse, so he can't go back in time before the curse.
Ooh. So
nice.
Like a Dormammu type thing. You know what I mean? Where it's just gonna start looping kind of deal. I don't know. But maybe that's what happens and Adam Warlock comes in and kind of interferes into that time loop. Because Adam Warlock has some weird powers too. This is where we start getting into the really weird characters.
Yeah, we're talking like about. 4th and 5th tier, the 3rd tier of like all the superheroes.
Everybody knows Captain America. Everybody knows Thor,
Hulk, and
Iron Man.
Maybe you knew who Black Widow was.
Maybe you knew who Doctor Strange was. Everybody knows Spider-Man, obviously, because they've had 5 billion movies of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It only took 7 to kill him.
But
because he was in Civil War.
Very few people knew who Guardians were. Very few people know who Strange is. Very few people know who Adam Warlock is.
Yeah, I didn't.
So now we're starting to get into those characters that you really have to dig
really hitting the bottom, not necessarily the bottom of the barrel, but you got to lift some rocks to find them.
Basically, if you've not read the comics, you're not going to know about them. Vision's one of those. Very, very few people know about Vision, period. I don't have anything else to add at this point.
I don't either.
We've pretty much summed up the whole movie and my thoughts on it. So
I don't have anything else to add.
David.
I think
like I said, all my moments that I really loved are just those two moments, the Gamora scene and the Star-Lord scene.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the review is concerned. Yeah, tomorrow, actually, I can't because Sony sucks. I can't stream any of my God of War anything without special equipment.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've been playing God of War and I love it, and I can't stream
any of it.
Yeah.
What equipment do you need?
You need like cable splitters, well, not cable splitters, but like you have to be able to split the audio between 2 different sources.
Oh, okay.
It's stupid.
Well,
so
talk to me about that. We'll figure it out.
Anyways, so yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Peace. Bye.